Welcome to 3 weeks down until we're done, I think, right?
Something like that.
Yeah. 3 weeks. So 6 episodes left. And what a shock. We're having internet problems. Shocking. Who can stand it? Well, I hope I froze in a really homely place. Oh my gosh, I'm having kind of a grumpy morning. Dr. Mary, it's too much.
It is.
There's too much going on. I can't focus on anything. I can't sleep. More internet problems. It's just irritating. So it's good that this is perhaps coming to a close pretty soon because I'm about to break. We are talking today about an image. What the hell is the matter with the internet?
I don't know.
This makes me angry. I think sometimes if phones are too near, it's very touchy. We are talking today about a meme that I've been sitting on for a year maybe, and we just have never used it amazingly. So it felt like a good thing to use today. Let's just pull it up. When a flashlight grows dim or quits working, you don't throw it away. You change the batteries. When a person messes up and finds themselves in a dark place, do you cast them aside? Of course not. You help them change their batteries. Some need AA, attention and affection. Some need AAA, attention, affection, and acceptance. Some need C, compassion. Some need D, direction. And if they still don't seem to shine, simply sit with them quietly and share your light. I actually really love that. It makes me less grumpy kind of already to look at it. What do you want to say about that, Dr. Mary?
There is an awful lot to be said about that. Someone clearly knows their types of batteries.
Yeah. Can we stay focused, please?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. Attention, affection, and acceptance. I mean, that's what absolutely everyone needs. And again, this is what we've tried to do. This is a thing that goes beyond addiction into real life. This could be. I just watched an episode of last week tonight with John Oliver that came out in October just this month. It was about acceptance for transgendered people. So this kind of hits home for that too. Just acceptance is a powerful word. You know, alcoholism nowadays is accepted and understood. Drug addiction is accepted and understood, but there are many other addictions that aren't. A lot of people don't think things like gambling is a true addiction.
Or food,
or there is a sugar addiction. People can be addicted to food. People can become addicted to exercise. If it alters your general life, that all you want to think about is whatever you're doing, that is by definition an addiction. So, you know, it only took 80 years for alcoholism to be understood.
Do you think it's understood?
Accepted?
What do you mean by that? Because that makes it sound like we don't judge people who have it.
A lot of back, not so long ago, even into the 50s and 60s, it was considered a sign of weakness because everyone drank. If you go back and watch any TV show or any movie from like the 50s or 60s, even if you watch Mad Men, which was set in the late 50s, early 60s, there is alcohol in almost every scene of that film. And people in that show are drinking in the office. One person drinks too much, falls asleep. So they sack him because they called him a drunk. And the rest of them are just drinking up the wazoo. It was considered a sign of weakness.
You don't think it still is in many ways?
I don't think it's considered a sign of weakness. I know people think that some people can't deal with drink and they accept that more now. There will still be some places where they say, oh, well, you know, you're an alcoholic. You can never work here. I mean, some companies have mandatory drug and urine tests, and they look for alcohol too. You know, just random screening, because a lot of the times they can say, right, you've got a chance to get to rehab and keep your job. So I think that part of the addiction for a couple of things have been widely accepted. A lot of people actually think that it's a strength of character to overcome certain addictions nowadays. You know, we celebrate I celebrate my addiction all the time. People, you go to an AA meeting and say, "Yep, I've now been sober 1 year," and you get a coin, and it means the world to you.
But I'm feeling kind of argumentative today, so I'm not trying to pick a fight with you. But I feel like you are talking about a community of like-minded people as if that is the general population. And I don't know why I'm fixated on this, because that's really not the point of the meme. But I don't think alcoholism is accepted in this community, in this culture. It's why there's still so much shame around it. It's why it's so hard to go through, I think, both as the person who is suffering from it and the family, because we expect that judgment will come, and it often does.
My point is that it is widely accepted. There are adverts for treatment clinics now. There are hotlines you can set up. People know this. That some organizations that you work with will have programs to help addicts. So in that way, it is being accepted. No, does everyone in this country say, "Oh, it's a disease, let's get you treated"? Of course not. The people are going to shun away from it. People shun away from a lot of things, but it's more widely accepted as an illness, which it wasn't.
Okay, well, that is a different phrase than just "it's widely accepted." That's like saying tattoos are widely accepted. They're, yeah, okay, let's move on. I'm so furious about the internet, I can hardly think straight. But I do like your point of, this isn't really about addiction. This is about acceptance across the board. So if you are in the Fargo-Moorhead community or read the Fargo Forum, you know that yesterday there was an article in the paper on the front cover about two transgendered people who are both intending to immigrate, one to Iceland and one to Sweden, because they are in such fear, and I think right and fair fear, of their liberty being disrupted and no longer protected, and their safety in this country, because there's such an attack on transgendered people. I don't think they're wrong to feel that way. No. There is very little understanding or acceptance of what that means. It's how we can have an idiot article like that stupid as hell Furby article about kids who are using kitty litter in bathrooms at our local schools.
I don't know why that was. I don't know if that was set up as. See, no one knows this. I'm going to backpedal there for a second. Is this a genuine article? Is could that have been put in place by someone trying to prove a point that we're all too stupid to realize that we're stupid?
Well, good job if that was the goal.
If that was the case, good job. Yes, absolutely. But if that was real, then we do have a long way to go. But acceptance by people that understand what's going on is increasing. The hardest bit now is to get everyone to understand everything. And, the acceptance part of that AAA battery thing is what, the hardest part of it all.
Our dear friend Julie Blem would say, as a spouse of someone who suffered with some alcohol issues, ultimately made a very dramatic decision around that. And Julie has been a diabetic since she was 20 or 21 years old and is a medical doctor. Alcoholism all the time now gets compared to diabetes. And what people say is, well, we don't judge a diabetic. And Julie would say, are you kidding me? We absolutely judge diabetics, particularly people who develop diabetes type 2 from weight gain. And I think she's absolutely right. How often do you hear people talk about, well, if they would just eat better, they wouldn't have this problem? That may be true, but who are you to judge?
That's that's a great example of people not getting all the facts. So here's an example of this. They even got, I cannot remember these people's names. There was a group of 4 or 5 US senators who were blocking some legislation to up the minimum wage. And they did some weird experiment between the 5 of them. They said, all right, what's minimum wage work hours? And they said, we'll do this for a week to prove it. And they said, look, I'm good. I've done it. I lived minimum wage for a week. And then some people who were far more intelligent than them point out, yes, the cost of living hasn't gone up that much. If you look at groceries for 30 years ago, all right, we're in an 8% inflation rate now, but this happened a couple of years ago. They did stay the same. What did increase, and they said some things have come down, a luxury of a television. Yes, it is reasonably cheap to buy a TV, but rent has exploded. And people who work minimum wage can afford groceries, but they struggle to pay their rent.
How is this related?
That you don't get all the facts. If you just look at one thing and say, "Oh, food prices haven't changed that much," yeah, but what about rent? What about extra utilities? Cell phones aren't actually a luxury; they're a necessity. You can't do jack unless you're online, so you have to pay. I don't know, probably $100 a month for good internet access, and then
clearly we're not paying enough.
Or 94, 91
Jeez.
For quite shite internet access.
Ticks me off.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
And it's the same deal with people that talk about what's happening with the planet. They look at one fact out of 14 and say, all right, so this isn't that bad. But there are more than one thing affecting climate change. That's another thing.
Okay. Mother says, I think we accept certain people in certain conditions. Take two. I think we accept certain people in certain situations under certain conditions and say we accept people. No, we accept that one person, maybe. I 100% agree with that. And I know I do it too. There's a lot of things that I am extremely judgy about, even when I understand, A, I don't know all the facts and details, or B, someone is in a circumstance that I can't really fathom. So I think let's go back to the image. Such a crusty mood.
I don't think anyone's noticed.
When a flashlight grows dim or quits working, you don't throw it away. You change the batteries. When a person messes up and finds themselves in a dark place, do you cast them aside? Of course not. You help them change their batteries. Some need AA, attention and affection. Some need AAA, attention, affection, and acceptance. Some need C, compassion. Some need D, direction. And if they still don't seem to shine, simply sit with them quietly and share your light. I love this because I think it really speaks to depression, addiction, terrible emotional loss, fear.
Leave that up a second.
Okay.
Please. Sorry,
sure.
It just sounded like an order.
It's all right.
Do it, son. If you look at this, look at down the bottom. It's something just dawned on me. This, going through I talked about the attention, the affection is AA. Some need AAA, so there is an acceptance there. Some need compassion. Where it's down there at the bottom was simply sit with them and shine your light. That's a great indication that you're never, as long as you're not, or you don't feel alone, a human being can feel like they can deal with just about anything. It's almost like Pandora's box here at the end. Like the only thing left in it was hope. If all else fails, if someone doesn't know they're alone, or someone knows that they're not alone, they can actually start to deal with anything. It's the worst thing in the world.
Isolation.
To go through something on your own. You can go through it with a group of people and you feel better.
Well, it's why the worst thing you can do to a person is put them in an isolated cell.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where people really fall apart.
Most people drink because they've got nothing else to do.
I agree. Mother says the "of course not" line is the line to be questioned. Really? I doubt it. I agree completely. When a person messes up and finds themselves in a dark place, do you cast them aside? Of course not. I agree.
Some people go, well, yeah.
It would be great to say, no, of course we don't. We lend a hand. We sit with them. We do all this compassionate work. Mostly we don't. Mostly we say, well, you screwed up, and we kick people to the curb. And all that does is exacerbate their already shot self-esteem, their feeling of isolation, their internal sense of failure, their disappointment, all those things. Nobody does better when you are cast aside. Nobody.
If you think about someone who's homeless, you immediately think, well, a lot of people think, well, they're probably an addict who couldn't keep jobs, so therefore they couldn't keep rent. If you don't have a permanent address, one, you can't get a bank account, and two, you can't get a job.
Yeah, it can be hard. There's a million reasons to pay attention to this beautiful little idea. And I dare you to not think about it the next time you use a flashlight. I also would say that, unfortunately, I think people do often just throw stuff like flashlights away. It's easier. You don't have batteries at home? Throw it out. We're so disposable. But I think hopefully this will help you think a little bit deeper about that connection going forward. The next time you go to judge a person, the next time you go to toss something or someone away, remember that what they might actually need from you is for you to just sit quietly and be next to them. All right, we're signing off. I got to get to a meeting. My crustiness has not abated. So we'll wish for good internet today, and we'll see you on Thursday with a guest.
See you Thursday.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.